Holger, am I messing up with your management? But yeah, hands off. So yeah, if we could just rest, sort of sit comfortably and welcome, just groove into being, just enjoy being, savor being, which means this sort of a relaxation, both relaxation of the body and at the mind level, just to allow things to be as they are. Meaning whatever thoughts are appearing, images, sensations, to let them be as they are. We are not seeking for anything. We're not trying to improve our experience. Resting as we are. Which is a sort of a non-doing, which is not an activity. John Klein used to say, presence as absence and absence as presence. Like the wide open sky. It's present as what, the color blue, maybe. And it's absent in that it is, in fact, colorless. The sensations that appear in your so-called body, the breath, and the sensation of your feet on the ground or your back against the seat. Beyond words, beyond thought. Something is happening and yet nothing is happening simultaneously. No issues, no problems. The sky may be clear or cloudy. Same. You know, you are. I know I am. Can it be sufficient? The sufficiency of being. Not being somebody, which is memory or thought, but the reality of being, which is not a thought, not a perception, the certainty of being. As being, there is no time and space. As being, time is the eternity of awareness. Sometimes we say the eternity of now, but the eternity of awareness. And the body of awareness is the universe, your body. The trees, the wind, the cosmos, and beyond. Boundaryless awareness, presence. Effortless, aware presence. Which takes on the form of infinite minds, infinite worlds. Like clouds takes infinite shapes and forms. Like the ocean appears in the form of many waves or no waves. In your night dreams, you appear as someone. You experience various experiences, various shapes and forms and perceptions. upon waking up, you realize you are that reality. You, the dreamer, the perceiver. Which is not an object. In this moment, you hear these words. That which perceives this infinite, invisible, transparent presence beyond words, beyond names, beyond shape, beyond description, and yet undeniable. So do not hold on to any sensation, any thought. Let it flow. It is flowing anyways. And holding on is just an imaginary holding on. Notice that as awareness, there is no distance between that which hears and the hearing. There's no distance between the breath and that which perceives it. Whatever you perceive is made out of yourself. In complete intimacy. Which is love. This wholeness, this totality is available to you as your very self. You are the embrace, effortless embrace. Everything is touched by you. Every aspect of your dream. Why separate yourself? When you feel the breeze against your face, You hear the sound of traffic or the singing of the birds. Why separate yourself? When there is a sensation, can you be completely there as the absence of being somebody? Because in being somebody, you set yourself apart for no good reason. Invite your knowingness, your understanding. Invite awareness to the forefront, rather than inviting the world and experiences and memories and images. Invite awareness to the forefront. Awareness is primordial. There's no perception without awareness. But awareness does not depend on perception. But when you define yourself as a person, you have a defined awareness as a form, and you fall onto the impression that whatever may happen to the body-mind is happening to awareness. But in this moment, you may perceive the body-mind, the thought, the sensation. But you are not that which you perceive. Awareness is the elephant in the room. And it is the room. It knows itself via I am. It knows the world, the body and the mind via I perceive. And via I conceive. I conceive and I perceive simultaneously. You are that elephant. But you're not the pink flying elephant of your dreams. Okay, so you're welcome to unmute yourself. And whatever questions you have, we can take one person at a time. You're welcome to turn on your video if you'd like to. So any questions?
Magdi.
Hello, Holger.
Hello. I
so
found
I'm not hearing you. Let me see. Maybe I need to.
1, 2, 3.
What do I need to do? Okay, wait a minute.
4, 5.
Let me see. Maybe I have to go to my settings. Sometimes I have this issue. Let's see. What about now, Holger? Can you speak?
1, 2.
Okay, it was.
Test.
I don't know what it is with my settings. Somehow, every now and then it just flips into mute. Anyways, hello, Holger.
Hello, Magdi. Thank you for your beautiful meditation. In the Bible, I read a paragraph. It said, "Let your yes be yes, and your no be no. All else is the evil one." And I equate this evil one to the psychological thinking mind, the separate self.
Well,
not
everything
to label it, not to fight it. It's just a placeholder. It's just a word for it, even if I don't like the word too much.
I am more comfortable with everything is God's
Yes.
creation and God's play, God's garden, including the so-called ignorance. It's God's play. So, in fact, in God's garden, there is only yes. There's only yes. No is hypothetical. Yes, it's real. So in God's garden, which is reality, the reality of being, there's only yes. Meaning, yes to perception, yes to happiness, yes to sorrow, yes to pain, yes to ignorance, yes to wisdom, yes to joy, yes to love, yes to the forgetfulness, yes to the remembrance. Because there is no such thing as no within God, no N-O within God. There's only the belief in no within the thought, the belief that there is someone who can say no and that their no has an actual impact. Your no, the no of man, the no of the mind, the no of the brain, whatever way you put it, is a hypothetical no. Because the no always comes after the fact. You cannot say no to something that you do not know, K-N-O-W. You cannot say no, N-O, to something that you do not know. You can, how can you say no to something that you don't know? You can only say no to something that you know. And the fact that you know it, that's already a yes. So the yes trumps the no. So what in fact is the reality of no? Here we are right now, this experience, this being, this perception, this presence. What part of your experience in this moment, because what other experience is there, is a no? So let's say a thought arises that says no. But that very thought, the appearance of that very thought is a yes. The fact that you perceive this thought is already a yes. Is there some no, we're okay? Yeah. Do you follow what I'm sort of playing with here?
No.
Boy.
Yes. So there are different perspectives, different viewpoints.
Yes.
I mean, you speak from a rather absolute viewpoint right now.
Mm-hmm.
But if you deal with people during the day, you encounter yes and no. So it's a different level maybe we are talking about.
Well, yeah, of course, you know,
Yeah.
You could say, you know, no, I don't want to go to the beach. Yes, I want to go to the mountains. Yeah, from that level, it's just a conversation. It's just how the game is being played, you know. But you know, the different colors of the rainbow. They refer to the white light. So the many infinite no's and shades of no and shades of mind, they refer to consciousness. But yes, so I'm sorry, maybe I took
No.
sharing.
It's good.
I don't know. That's what arose when I was hearing.
No, for me, it was let your yes be yes and your no be no. So it means there's no wobbling.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you give a clear statement, and there is no second thought about my own personal. This is the way I understand it.
We cannot say, our yes cannot be yes, and our no cannot be no, if we do not have a certainty.
Yeah, certainty.
It's not like we adopt a formula, there's a certainty. So, but we say yes to consciousness because of the certainty of consciousness. We say yes to presence, yes to awareness. We say yes to our sameness because our experience has to be there to ascertain, to be behind our yes or behind our no. Yes. So that's what really matters, is our certainty about a yes or about a no.
But what about if the certainty is lacking?
Well, if the certainty is lacking, then we are saying yes or no from a different place, where we're saying yes or no from maybe a belief, or from wanting to please, or wanting to go along, or from hearsay, or from trying to adapt, whatever. I mean, there are so many possible scenarios in the absence of the certainty. There are so many, like a leaf falling off a tree. It depends on the wind. The wind can blow this way or that way, and then the wind can take you down or take you up, Absolutely, the certainty is essential. In fact, when you are in the presence of one of the things that draws a student as a way of speaking towards the teacher as a way of speaking is the certainty that they sense, the unwavered quality of, and of course, it's not a make-believe or a show or a play. It's something that is sensed somehow, So in the investigation about our true nature, about reality, about truth, in time we come to certainty, and we come to certainty via glimpses, via understandings, not via what precedes the understanding, because what precedes the understanding is a conversation or events, but they lead to an understanding. At the moment of understanding, it becomes your direct experience. You get it, you get it. So the understandings give you the direct experience, and your direct experience, you are certain of it. Your direct experience as an understanding, not as a memory or something you remember, because what you remember is diluted. It's not the actual experience. The thought about an event in the past is a coloring of sort, is a caricature, is a rendition, but it's not the actual. So the certainty is not the result of thinking or memory. It's not like, oh, I remember I had an enlightenment experience in 1982, who cares? It's like, fine, you know, I had a great party and I got like so high and got so drunk in 1989. It was great, you know. Well, so what? It means nothing. What is significant is the glimpse, is the understanding. You know, so an experience of a glimpse into truth is an understanding about consciousness, about truth.
This morning, I had an experience. I shared with two friends over email. We talked about this evil one, about this passage, and I got furious. I read a reply this morning from a friend, and furious. I never knew this feeling before, but it felt pure. I mean, there was no. It felt like free of selfishness. It was just, I cannot describe it, but it was really interesting. And because this friend, he said, I don't like the word evil one, replace it with separate self, for example. I don't remember right now.
Yeah.
So there's a way of the mind to take away the emotional charge of words, to make them neutral. Like when a marketer speaks about penetrating the market and totally cuts off that you're dealing with living people. I mean, so it was just an interesting experience. I don't really know my point right now, but
yes,
it's always, like you say, all is fine on one level. But there is also a time when you need to speak up and maybe get furious or say things that are unacceptable right now. So it's not always consciousness is wonderful and all of this. Sometimes it just appears in the form of yelling, for example.
Yes. You know, it depends on the situation. There may be, you may have encountered a situation over and over and over and over, and at some point you say, okay, hey, enough is enough, you know. So, but it's sort of, I mean, the key thing with these seeming emotional expressions, I'm going to just say seeming, emphasizing the word seeming, is that it's not retained. There's not much of an echo. So there is an expression that's sort of arising. Isn't much of an echo, and it's not an attempt at avoiding your own, avoiding something within yourself, let's say. The expression can vary. There are personalities, different personalities. Some are more fiery personalities, others are calm personalities. But in general, in time, with your understanding about consciousness, about life, about relationships, you realize that you become more and more compassionate, more and more understanding, more and more listening. Not that because all is consciousness, blah, blah, blah. No, because you have an understanding about relationships, about the mind, about feelings and how people get bottled up in their feelings and cannot relate with their feelings and need to serve. There's an understanding about that because of your direct experience with that. And so it's not like you're not playing the game of, you know, all is well and consciousness is real. No, you're not. That doesn't work. It doesn't work that way. You have to have things have to sort of get deeper than that, you know, within yourself. But it's coming back to what I thought I understood, that yes, of course, I mean, expression can be very colorful. It's not all pastel, you know. Expression can be varied, but overall, you're not like, you know, your mind, you experience not like up and down, but there may be occasions, yes, where, hey, you know, when an expression like that is coming from this instantaneous, it's not thought, it's instantaneous, and its source is not like your conditioned mind, because in our conditioned mind we can also have instantaneous reactions, but an instantaneous reaction is not to be confused with an instantaneous response, an expression that comes not from the past, not from your past trauma or your past feelings, but it's arising in the moment, in the instant. And that has a different impact. It doesn't, in general, it has less of a reaction from the other to sort of battle it. They're more like stunned, you know, it's more like, oh, you know, it's something that stuns them a little bit. But because you shift out of, you don't stay in that position. You sort of express and then you're shifting out of it. They're able to get stunned and then fall back in your open arms in a way, because you're back to being the openness, you see. So you're not defending a position, you're just expressing something, boom, at that moment it's expressed, it's heard, it came out, and you're not holding on to it. You're not holding on to, okay, this is how it should be next, or this is how the other one should behave. No, you sort of, yeah. And
so do you think it's a waste of time to read old scriptures, or is this
No, I don't know. I wasn't hinting to that in any way. No, not at all. I think follow what you enjoy, and if something resonates with you, you know, even if it resonates for you to, I'm gonna make with myself a pact to read, you know, whatever, you know, if that's what pleases you, even if it's like a pact you're making with yourself, go ahead. As long as it's happy, I guess you're enjoying it. Sure. It's much more about the happiness now than about the happiness that you're going to get later from reading the scriptures. So
future happiness.
Yes, future happiness. So you're enjoying reading the scriptures, you know, you're enjoying it. Beautiful. There we go. There you go. You enjoy reading a novel. There you go.
Because it's so instantaneous. I mean, when I read it, it feels like it's just spoken right here and now. And it totally relates to all this modern non-dual concepts. It's just a different language. I mean, I just find this fascinating.
Yes. So does the songs of the birds. So does going for a walk.
Yeah.
So does feeling the breeze against your skin. I mean, the experience of being is ongoing, is right now. I mean, our simple conversation right now is the experience that the scripture is speaking about, where all is well, nothing is missing. There is no separation, and there is the love and friendship and the simplicity. It's not like, you know, what Francis sometimes says, enlightenment is overrated. It's not like, wow, some wonderful experience with fireworks, blah, blah, blah. I mean, there may be moments like that, but it's about the natural mind. It's about the ordinary mind is extraordinary, the ordinary mind. The ordinary mind is our mind right now, this ordinary mind, which is devoid of judgment, measurement, images, trying to impress you, or it's void of that. It's just so not to build this enlightenment construct or some super experience, you know, it's on steroids, you know, the experience of being, wow, yeah. I mean, you know what I mean?
And
like
beyond the beyond.
And beyond the beyond. You know, I mean, you enjoy eating a mango or
Yes.
talking to a friend, meeting with friends, reading a book.
Thank you, Magdi.
It's always this moment, you know, it's always the perfection of being in this moment. So what we're talking about is not so much about achieving something or getting a state, but to sort of shed the misery, you know, shed the ignorance, you know what I mean? Shed like the images, believing I'm somebody, holding on to feeling an image and holding on to the past. It's just sort of relax that and to see through the unnecessity, non-necessity of that. And that what we are is always there, undefined. You see, you don't need to know what you are. You already are. You see, so it's more of the shedding of ideas and images about ourselves, and it's always in the moment when we sense it, we feel it, we let it go. We say, no, I'm not going to play that game. You know what I mean?
Thank you.
Okay, Holger, nice chatting with you. Yes. Any questions?
If we don't let go of the present moment, then we can't have a new moment.
Yes, yes, David. In fact, the present moment, it lets go of itself. I mean, as a way of speaking, of course. Where is the thought that I had 0.4 seconds ago, or the perception that I had a second ago? It's gone. So is the illusion of holding on. You know, in fact, there is no reality to holding on, and there's no reality to that, whoever it is, this me, whatever, that it can hold on to something. It's all a flow, and that which does not flow is that which is absolute in our experience, that which is not phenomenal, which is the reality of consciousness, the reality of being. So that is like the wide open sky, the infinite space, the infinite beingness. Now, everything else is a flow, but that's also a way of speaking, because in fact, you need a thought to perceive a thought. In other words, a thought doesn't have a reality of its own. There isn't like a it's a thought is a fiction, a conceptual fiction, which is sort of a language. We have a language about the thought, but in our experience, we have to go out of our way to find a thought. Like right now, there is whatever there is, and so we break down, or we sort of categorize our experience into perceptions, thoughts, sensations. Fine, I mean that's okay. It's a model, but our experience, in fact, is not divided at all. You can't divide your experience, in fact, but you can conceptualize it as a model. You can say, well, our experience is made out of, or for example, this perception is made out of colors. There is the yellow, the blue, the blah, 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 you know, which is a model, yes? But the directness of our experience, because our experience doesn't occur in time. It's this eternal now, and the now has no, it's not 0.00001 second. No, in fact, there is no time in presence, in awareness, in now. So it's all, that's coming back to what you were saying, it's all already, is nothing that is not being let go of moment by moment. As a way of speaking, because of course there is nobody letting go of anything, and there is nothing to let go of outside of our mental belief that there is somebody who needs to let go of this and that, and I need to let go of holding a grudge against my neighbor, which is a part of the dream, because in fact there is no you, no separate you. There's only one I, which is awareness, consciousness. Consciousness isn't in the business of letting go or not letting go. It's not in any business. It's not in business. Or you could say it's in the business of awareing. You know, it's in its own business. It is the manufacturer and the client and the consumer and the enjoyer. It's so, you know, in psychology, you know, there is somebody with trauma, and we have to sort of fix that person's trauma, you know. But the somebody is nowhere to be found, you say, which is really fascinating. It's fascinating that at some point you come to the understanding that there is nobody with trauma. Or you could say, as a concession, well, there is trauma in the body-mind, like the body-mind has some trauma. Like my car, for example, my car, you know, has a used carburetor. We had to replace a carburetor, or one of the tires is, but that doesn't relate to that which you are, to the reality of consciousness. And that's, I think it's important to understand that. And we were talking earlier with Holger about the certainty. It's important to come to the certainty of what we're talking about. The certainty that I have no trauma. I do not exist in time. It's important to come to the certainty that there is no I. There's no possibility for I to hold on to something, to come to certainty about that. Not just you hear it say, oh, well, yeah, but the certainty. Look, and so the certainty comes from your direct experience. If you look right now at what can I hold on to, if you look at that, what can I hold on to? You will find that you have to conceptualize an I. You have to conceptualize somebody. Whichever way you conceptualize it, you have to conceptualize somebody that can hold on to something or let go of something. But the I that is perceiving that, the I that right now is hearing these words, is, and I'm not talking about a body, I'm talking about I, the undeniability of consciousness, of awareness. That is, we never experience that as holding on to something, because that is noumenal, it's not phenomenal. You know, it's not an object that can grab another object. It's not it's a different dimension from the dimension of the dog running and grabbing the bone or grabbing the stick, holding onto the stick or letting go of the stick, running after the tennis ball, bringing it to the master. Consciousness is not like a dog running after the ball or after the stick. And that's evidenced by our direct experience. Our direct experience of awareness is, it's not possible for anything to exist outside of awareness knowing it. So our experience right now is that of awareness. So the I is not a theoretical I that we're talking about, some concept called I. We're talking about the reality. Because if there is something, there is a reality to that something. And we all know that there is something rather than nothing. Like Francis all the time says, there is something. No, there is something rather than nothing. If there is something, there's a reality to that something, which is in this moment, what is the reality of our experience? Is it not this transparent, aware presence?
Maggie, I got a quick question.
Yes, Frank.
Can you explain to me what I've looked? Whoops! I think I just lost my feed here.
Oh,
can you tell me what? I'm back.
Okay.
Can you, the word noumenon, I looked it up, but I find it very confusing. I mean, I know somewhat what it is, but can you explain it? I want to hear from your perspective what noumenal means.
Yeah, the best way to explain noumenal is just saying that's not phenomenal. Phenomenal refers to anything that is perceived, sensed, or a thought. Phenomena, you perceive, whatever you perceive is phenomenal. That which perceives is noumenal.
Noumenal is that which perceives? Okay. And phenomenon is what's perceived.
The noumenal is the reality which perceives, that which perceives.
Perceives.
The phenomenal is that which is perceived.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So sometimes they use the term the infinite invisible instead of using the word noumenal.
Yeah.
Infinite invisible, or the transparency of being. I mean, okay, these are words, but they're referring to our reality.
Yeah.
To reality.
Yeah.
So there is a reality, but reality is noumenal. It's not phenomenal. You can't perceive it. But the thing is, we attribute reality to that which we perceive, and we don't attribute reality to that which perceives. But I'm saying, I'm flipping it around, saying, well, that's the other way around. The reality is that which perceives, which never comes and goes. It's not made out of matter. It's not made out of molecules or atoms. It's not made out of wood. It's not made out of flesh. Not made out of. But yet it's undeniable. You see, what we are perceiving right now could be a dream. It's possible. It's possible that we are having a hallucinogenic experience right now, and we're perceiving this, and we've been dreaming this dream of being a son, being a friend, being a teacher, blah 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 blah. It's possible that which perceived is a hallucinogenic dream, is a dream. But in fact, in spite of the possibility that which we perceive being a dream, it's a possibility that's a dream. In spite of that, there is a reality that perceives that. Even a dream, there's a reality that perceives that. And that reality is the reality of consciousness. So there is that which you can be certain of, okay, which is consciousness. And that which you perceive, which could be a dream, there's less certainty. There is some uncertainty about it. Because when you wake up from the dream, it's gone. You know, when you recollect, for example, in your experience, you look in your experience, things that you're certain about, you find, well, wait a minute, I'm not certain about my neighbor, my friends, my partner, my you know, a lot of things in the world, in the mind, you cannot be certain of. You're not even, we don't even have a knowledge of the functioning of the body. You know, sort of, but we have a certainty about awareness, right? We have certainty about awareness.
Mhm.
It's just that.
You know, sometimes I get caught up in this whole thing about like, I can see how consciousness is in sentient beings, but when it comes to things that aren't sentient, like trees and mountains and planets and stuff, I don't see how consciousness and that come together.
Yes, yes. Now, first of all, Frank, I just want to clarify. I never said that consciousness is in sentient beings. Or I just want to, let's take a look at that, because we cannot proceed with your question when your question started with something that we need to look at. So we need to start by looking at the first thing you said, which is consciousness is in human beings or in sentient beings, whichever way you said it. Look at your experience right now, okay? Now, in your experience right now, whatever the world, meaning this perception, the sensations of your body, which we call the human body, your thoughts, which we refer to be the human mind, right? Right? They appear to you. You meaning consciousness. You are not, you consciousness.
Yeah.
You don't appear.
Yeah, I get what you're saying about that. I know that consciousness is not inside the body. The body is being perceived by consciousness.
Yes.
But there's life, like there's sentience, there's feeling, there's perception.
Yes.
Whereas you know, tree does not have, as far as I know, does not have perception.
Absolutely, I get it. Yeah. So you're talking about sentience. You're talking about, you're not talking about consciousness. You're talking about sentience. You're talking about in the phenomenal realm. You're not talking about the noumenal. So in the phenomenal realm,
the phenomenal.
in the phenomenal realm, there is an impression. There is an impression of sentience, less sentience, and non-sentient. There is an impression that animals and humans, blah, blah, are sentient. Plants, you know, flowers are semi-sentient. A stone or a pebble or a grain of sand is not sentient. But that is in complete contradiction with science. Science has already demonstrated that the entire realm of sentient, semi-sentient, and non-sentient is basically made out of a play of gluons and atoms and molecules and neutrons, and science has already established that model of you know, the reality of when you look closer, when science looked closer, they found that, wait a minute, no. It's more complex than that. It seems at one level to be sentient, semi-sentient, non-sentient, but in fact, the whole thing is pretty intricately connected. And so you could say, for example, that a tree is semi-sentient, but the tree is connected to the earth, right? It's connected to the earth, and the earth is, we're connected to the earth. So the tree is connected to the earth, and we're connected to the earth. We're actually fed by the earth. I mean, you know, we eat, we are nourished by the earth, and we're also nourished by the air, you know, by oxygen, and we're nourished by the sunshine, the reflection, and water. I mean, you know, we're 70% water or whatever. So when you start taking a look at that, the lines, the rigid lines between sentient, semi-sentient, and non-sentient, they start to become more blurry. You know?
Yeah.
So that's a good thing. It's a good thing to sort of see, wait a minute. Yeah, they're somehow different, but they're not separate.
Yeah, because even quantum physics is kind of like they've gotten down to the very, the smallest thing you can get to, and it's all just information and energy, right?
Right, and also like the whole thing about like a particle is also a wave. It's a when you're not looking at it, it's a wave. When you look at it, it's a particle. So like, wait a minute. I mean, so it's sort of shifting the entire paradigm of materialism. It's all shifting. So
shifting, yeah.
Yeah, so that's one of the things I wanted to share with you. But I also want to share with you the following:
Okay.
is that yes, at some level, we can agree that there are in the realm of manifestation, there are sentient, semi-sentient, and non-sentient. Okay, like a car is not sentient, right? It's made out of, metal and whatever else it's made out of. But yet that car, which is non-sentient, it drives. Imagine you're coming from a different galaxy. You come around and you find, oh my goodness, this planet is inhabited by people and by cars, because the cars they drive. But from our perspective, it's insentient. But yet it drives, and you say, well, somebody needs to drive it. Okay, well, somebody needs to drive the car. So the sentient being and the car are driving each other. I'm driving the car, and the car is driving me somewhere, right? So we're in a way we're connected. We're not that way. You can't completely separate the sentient from the unsentient. But anyways, that was a side point. Coming back to the point I wanted to make is that yes, in the manifest world there is sentient, semi-sentient, and unsentient, but that does not relate to consciousness. See, that's very important. It doesn't relate to consciousness. So there is water that flows. There is ice that doesn't flow. There is vapor, which is still made out of water. I mean, it's still H2O, right? But it's not flowing like a river flows, right? So even when you look at a certain non-sentient, you find it takes different forms, but the main thing is that to understand is that consciousness and sentience are two different things. Consciousness refers to the noumenal, to reality. Sentience refers to various degrees of phenomena. The human body is sentient, meaning it breathes, it reproduces, it has organs. There are ways of defining sentient. It can respond to, it can bleed, it can die. You cannot kill a stone. I mean, you take a stone, you throw it in the water, it's still a stone, right? So there are certain there are certain qualities in the phenomenal realm that distinguish sentience from non-sentient. But the key thing to understand is that you are not a sentient. You are not sentient. The body is sentient. The body of the dog is sentient. The body of a fish, the fish is sentient. The body is sentient. That form is sentient. because it breathes, because it reproduces, because it bleeds, blah, blah. But you are not sentient. And that's the key thing where we make a mistake in general. In ignorance, we believe that consciousness is sentience. We confuse sentience, which is at the phenomenal realm, with consciousness, which is the reality, your reality. So consciousness is not just the reality of the body, but it's the reality of the world. Sometimes we confuse, we say, oh, consciousness means it's the reality of me, Frank. No, it's the reality of Frank, it's the reality of Magdi, it's the reality of the stone, it's the reality of the sunshine, it's the reality of galaxies, it's the reality of all perceptions, sensations, and meditations.
Isn't consciousness the thing that's given you the information about what you're perceiving? And well, consciousness is what perceives, right? So yes, sentience.
Consciousness is a perceiver.
So feeling, which is sentience, your feeling thing or a feeling sensation, that's without consciousness, that wouldn't exist.
Right. Consciousness is the reality of everything. All existence has a reality. If there is something, whatever that something is, it has a reality. Do you agree with that?
Mm-hmm.
If there is anything, whatever you call it, sensation, whatever, then it has to have a reality. Right?
Yeah, it depends on what you mean by reality. You mean like, can you give me your definition of reality? That which
reality is
doesn't change, something that doesn't change.
Reality would be that which without which things cannot be. It's that without which nothing can be. That which you cannot remove, and that which, if you removed it, you would be removing everything.
The base of everything, on which everything stands.
Yes. That which is its own validity. That which refers to itself, that in your experience or any experience which refers to itself. A table doesn't refer to itself. The rain doesn't refer to itself. Reality is that which refers to itself. That which, if you remove it, you're removing everything. That which is unremovable from your experience. So, to the reality of your experience right now is that which cannot not be, cannot not be. What is it in your experience right now which cannot not be?
The fact that we're here, that I'm here, anyways, is that what you mean? Something like that, or something that I'm sure of?
Depends what you mean by I'm here. What do you mean by I?
Yeah, well, awareness, knowingness, awareness.
Well, you cannot deny that you perceive. Right? Mm-hmm. You cannot deny, for example, perception, right?
Right.
But you could deny that which you are perceiving because you know that which you are perceiving could be a dream. You know it because of your dream experience. But you cannot deny that you perceive, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So that already is in the direction of reality. Now, can you deny, or let's put it another way. Can you perceive that which perceives? No. But we already said you cannot deny perception that I perceive. You cannot deny that I perceive, right? But
Right.
you cannot perceive the I which perceives.
Mm-hmm.
So can you remove the I? Can you remove that which perceives from your experience?
Sorry. I don't think so. I don't know. I mean, it's always here.
Yeah, you can remove your perception. You can remove your perception by doing something, but you can alter your perception, but you cannot remove the I which perceives.
No.
Right?
Well, unless you're sleeping and stuff, but I don't want to get into that because I'm going off in different directions here, so I want to make sure I don't do that. But I feel like, I do, but when we go to sleep, of course, we, deep sleep, we don't, but that's a whole different story. I know I don't want to get into that. It's too big of a topic to get into, but unless you want to get into it.
So that brings us to, there is a reality to this I, whatever it is that perceives. We call it consciousness. Right? You agree on that?
I agree with that.
So you asked me, what do I mean by reality? And by reality, I mean that which stands on its own, which cannot be removed from your experience, that which, if it was removed from your experience will not be, which is impossible to remove it from that which stands on its own. It's its own validation. It validates itself.
Yeah.
So, but this I that perceives is not an object of your perception. Let me repeat that. The I which perceives, sometimes I say the reality which perceives, is not an object which you perceive, right?
I mean, I don't want to just say things by rote. I'm trying to really come up with something that, that's really meaningful to me. From what I can tell, when I say I, that's perception. That's whatever perceives in me, whatever perceives things outside of me is what's saying I, right?
What do you mean outside of me? There is, right now you're perceiving this perception, right?
Right.
When you say it's outside of me, you've already assumed a me. Right now you perceive this perception, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then you say, well, it's outside of me. I'm perceiving something outside of me, right?
Well, when I say outside, I'm talking about also, my sensations, my feelings, and perceiving you, perceiving everybody else here, what's around me. I guess the body would be the first thing I perceive. It's the closest to me is the body, but.
You're saying I'm perceiving this perception. This perception is outside of my body, right?
Perception is outside of my body.
I don't know. I'm trying to understand. When you said something about outside of, say some more.
No, I'm saying when I perceive. You said what perceives. What's the I that perceives? When I say I perceive, what was the question you asked earlier about that?
Well, the I that perceives.
Yeah.
We do not perceive. We perceive this perception, but we do not perceive that which perceives.
Yeah, I get that. That's clear.
And that is I. I is another word for I, or another expression for I, is whatever it is that perceives. Right now, there is a perception, there is something which perceives it. Yes?
Yes.
And that which perceives this perception is not a perception.
I get that.
So it's not a form.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we refer to as I perceive, right?
Right.
So when you say I'm perceiving this perception and it's outside of me or whatever, or close to me, Now you have added, you've introduced some fictitious me. You follow or no?
I somewhat, but I'm getting a little bit lost, to be honest.
Okay.
Because I don't remember how we got going on this. Are you talking about the body as a separate, like when we talk about me as the body mind, or the I know the I is the awareness behind, which perceives everything, including the body, which we call the me, the little me, right? So I understand that. I mean, I don't think that I don't think that I'm not understanding what you're saying. I'm getting lost into what the point is here.
We don't perceive the body, we perceive sensation.
Okay.
And we perceive a perception. You look at your hand,
Yeah.
you're perceiving a perception. Okay?
Perceiving a perception?
Yes.
I'm perceiving a hand. No, I'm perceiving a...
Well, the hand is a concept. That, you say, oh, this perception is a hand. Okay, fine. But before you label it a hand, you're perceiving a perception.
Is there like a concept of a hand, you mean? We have a concept of a hand?
Right, before you go to the concept of the hand, which I know we go to it right away, but just before you go to the concept hand, you're perceiving a perception.
Yeah.
And then we say, okay, well, that's a hand, and behind the hand is the table, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But in our direct experience, we're experiencing perception or sensation, a bodily sensation.
Yeah.
Or mentation or thought. But there is no inside or outside. We don't perceive an inside or an outside.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't have said outside, but I know what you're saying. There is no inside, outside. I know, yeah.
And
I get that.
And we don't perceive a perception closer than another perception. All perceptions appear in the same place.
It's true. Yes.
Which is
that's been. I mean, I've been aware of that for a while. It's just, I didn't really know exactly where you were going with this.
Yes,
I get that. There's no outside, inside. It's all appearing in the same space of awareness. Everything that we experience.
Right. So just coming back to the sentience thing, the thing to understand about sentience is that sentience and various degrees of sentience or non-sentience refer to that to experience, to the phenomenal realm. They do not apply to consciousness.
Okay.
And the last thing I wanted to add was that you are not a sentient being.
Okay. Okay. I'm glad I brought this up because I've always totally identified with myself being a sentient being, but you're right. It's what I'm perceiving as awareness. So I'm awareness perceiving a sentient being.
Yes.
Okay.
And you also perceive the mountain.
Right.
The mountain is not a sentient being,
Ding, 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 ding. Yeah, really, bells are going off.
And you perceive the rain, you perceive the weather.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. Thank you, Maggie. Awesome.
Okay.
It was worth the price of admission today. It was definitely worth the price of admission.
Okay. I'm glad. Okay. Well, it's 3:20, so thank you all. Very lovely to be with you. Holger and David, Frank, Grace, Mina, Rahul, George, Hola Maria, hello Manoj, Esther, Holly, Primera, and Zoe. Thank you all. Lovely to be with you.
Thank you, Magdi.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Maggie.
Maggie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're awesome.
Thank you.